reconnecting. Oh, all right. Looks like we're connected now. Waiting for some people to tune in here. Good morning, everybody. I'm Kristina. This is Cassidy. We're here at the Missouri Botanical Garden in the Rose Garden this morning. As part of the protocol, while staff is starting to return and we're getting ready to reopen, we are wearing masks now that there are more people around. So I did just want to mention that. And the Rose Garden this morning, as you can kind of see behind me, is looking absolutely beautiful under these blue skies too. So let me turn this camera around and we will get up close on some of these different varieties. The colors, especially over in this corner, are amazing. And the smell in here is amazing this morning too. These yellows. And some of these apricot colored ones.
Matthew, our Rosarian.
Hello.
This is his first week back on ground since we closed, so he's...
Oh, I'm busy at work. Gotta get a lot of roses planted before it's a bit hot of the summer, so just really busy getting things together, playing catch up.
Yeah. Well, it looks great.
Well, thank you.
It's a really beautiful morning today. It's really warm and it has been since pretty early. The sun is completely out. It's been a lot of partly cloudy or rainy days this week, so it's nice to wake up to the warmth. Here's some really beautiful big ones. You can see they're white, but they kind of have these pink speckles. And there's a lot going on while we prepare to reopen, so you can see as part of the visitor center construction, there's some tuck pointing and updates being done to the Linnean house here. The plants, some of the plants that were living in there are here and are going to be moved outside for the summer. Let's take a look at some more of these roses. It looks so pretty with the rain on them too from last night.
And Kristina, I can't remember if we've done a virtual tour since the news came out last week, but for those who haven't heard, we have a date. We're going to be reopening. It'll be June 9th for members and June 16th for the public. So we appreciate everybody that's stuck with us for what will be almost exactly 3 months, and we are so excited to be able to open and let people see this
And smell it.
Yeah, through more than a computer screen.
Yes. Now we're passing some more of these plants that are going to make their way to the herb garden for the summer. We should go see the Amorphophallus cognacs.
They're almost on their way out here, and you can actually see on your right here, there's a few of the lilies that are starting to bloom here in the bulb garden.
Oh yeah.
And that's all of this is all lilies.
So when those bloom, it's gonna look amazing in here.
So imagine this everywhere.
So here we've mentioned these before, but these sort of purplish brownish plants right here, these are relatives of the corpse flower.
And you can see this one's still open nicely. A lot of these others have passed over. I can't tell with the mask on if they're stinking.
Oh, I can smell right through the mask.
Okay.
Yeah. It definitely has that sort of rotten smell to it.
And this is amaryllis here. Not a lily in the same sense as the Asiatic lilies, but often common names for members of the amaryllis family is some sort of lily. And you can see here on these, I mean, that color is starting to come through on the outside of the flower bud here, so pretty soon, probably just in time for everybody to come back. This place should be full of color here in the bulb garden.
Mary has a question. Can you walk on the grassy areas? Yes, you can. We definitely ask that you don't walk in the flower beds, but you are welcome to walk on the lawns. Now we're coming up to the axis, which the last time we passed here was in between the spring and summer plantings, and now you can see those summer plantings have gone in and are looking awesome. Here, let's get up close first. And we mentioned, I believe last time, but there are some water lilies planted here in the central axis. You can see them right there. They're small for now, but some of them, not these particular variety I don't think, but some of them will get huge.
Yeah, and the forecasted temperatures that I've seen for next week, where it gets into the 90s, I mean, there are a lot of plants, the lilies we just showed in the bulb garden and the water lilies here, and even these summer plantings, I mean, they want it to be hot. So once those temperatures start to get into the 90s and we have a lot of sun, there's a lot of this stuff is just going to take off and really grow big and grow fast.
And we have a couple questions from people that must have just tuned in, but I did just want to repeat for those who are just joining. Yes, we do have an opening date. We're not open right now, but we will be opening to members on June 9th and to the public on June 16th.
Boy, what a difference 2 weeks makes
Yeah.
here in the iris garden.
So 2 weeks ago we were here, and anyone who was tuned in will remember this garden was at its peak. Now most of them are past, except for a few stragglers.
And that's, you can see, that's what Taylor here is doing. She's deadheading, taking the spent flower stalks off of the irises here. I don't know about you, Kristina, but I like it in the shade.
Yeah, it's hot today.
I'm glad the sun is out, but these shady spots throughout the garden are a favorite of mine.
Yes, I agree.
I was hoping we might see some daylilies in bloom here. This is the Jenkins daylily garden, and you can see all this sort of tall, leafy, kind of grass-looking foliage is all daylilies. And with the exception of a few that you can see are getting ready to open. Oh, and that little guy over there.
Oh yeah. That little yellow.
And it's still a little early, but June, and we're almost in June. June is peak month for the daylily collection here. So.
Pretty soon. Yeah, we certainly were closed through a lot of the spring blooms this year, but there's so much more to come still this summer. I like the garden best in summer. Everything just gets so big and lush. And it's amazing, like Cassidy was saying, to see how fast everything grows when the sun comes out on those summer plantings. It'll get so huge if you just wait like 2 weeks. You'll come back and it's like you're seeing a completely different plant.
We started the tour in the Gladney Rose Garden with those climbing roses on the trellis there. And here's just another place where we have some climbers here on the side of the herring house at the entrance to the Victorian District. And this garden is actually looking pretty great right now as well. You can see some of the ornamental onions are a little past their peak, but there's also foxglove, and I'm not sure if it's still in bloom, but I saw a really neat Oriental Poppy in here last week. Let's see if we can find it.
These look like the last of some peonies here. The rain has not been kind to peonies, as I'm sure anyone who is growing them at home has noticed. They're just so heavy they get weighed down by all that water. Here's some of that foxglove right there.
I think the poppy that I was hoping to show is past prime. Just a little swallowtail maybe?
Oh yeah.
Oh, maybe not. we'll have to ask our colleagues at the butterfly house to ID that one first.
This garden really looks great right now. I haven't walked past here in a while. That's so pretty and delicate. I'm not sure what this is. Do you know, Cassidy? Just gonna go look at the sign here.
Anybody who's been following our tours will know that we are not botanists or horticulturists. So just like many of the visitors, we rely on the signs to know what these are. This says goat's beard. I mean, I could see a resemblance, but I never know if it's the right sign or not. So
it really is so pretty and
if
delicate,
you're
though.
watching in the comments, please feel free to
Yeah.
give us a real-time ID. We're happy to have it.
Look at this. There's even some bleeding heart still hanging on. This is an amazing plant. I've noticed this year, I mean, this has been flowering since February. And still you'll see some blooms hanging on. It's amazing.
Let's sneak back here. We've done this once on one of our other tours earlier in the spring, but there's a lot of pretty. This is the windflower here.
There's some kind of poppy, it looks like.
This is what was blooming in front last week, and was done up there, but you can see just, I mean, look at those colors.
It's beautiful.
There's a few coneflowers.
Oh wow, already.
This is a summer bloomer, the Echinacea Kun Flower, and you can see a handful in bloom. I know the coneflower in my yard has not yet started to bloom, but that's another one that in the next few weeks, as temperatures are warm, they'll really bloom. And this is just a really pretty spot in the garden that's actually normally off limits to the public as well. So we hope you enjoyed a little sneak peek back here. And I think something worth mentioning as we're going on our tour, and we'll cover a lot more of this. We're working on a website to help people understand what the new rules will be when we open to visitors. That should be going live here very shortly, and we'll adjust some of our tours as well to talk about this. But one of the things that will be different for people that visit starting next week on June 9th for members and June 16th for the public is that there will be buildings that are closed and off limits, and even some of the outdoor spaces as well. One of those examples is here at the museum building. This Act Museum will be closed to the public, as will Tower Grove House. And most disappointing to my 4-year-old, the Children's Garden will also be closed for this first phase of our reopening. And we're obviously hoping to be able to reopen as much as possible, as safely as possible. So those will be closed, but we're always going to look for ways to see if we can't give people some of that garden experience.
So I don't know how well you can see through the trees here, but we're passing by the Mausoleum, which last spring there was some storm damage and the roof has had to be replaced. You can see that that new copper roof is on. The crew's working right now, so it's well on its way to being restored.
And I imagine there, for those who don't know, Henry Shaw, who founded the Botanical Garden, is actually buried in that mausoleum. And that was in his will, and he's been here for 120 years or so.
Yeah.
And the mausoleum itself, that roof that's that shiny copper right now, had this beautiful green patina on it, having been erected for so many years. So it's quite a bit different to see this shiny new copper, but also interesting to think that the last time that roof was that shiny copper, Henry Shaw would have still been alive.
Yeah, wow.
So
and here we're in the Victorian District. You can take a walk through this formal garden here, which is in the process of being planted too, with some of the summer annuals.
And those of you who've been following our tours remember about 5 or 6 weeks ago, this was
Tulips.
peak tulip in here. And now it's definitely got a tropical vibe. I mean, this makes me think of summer.
And it's always amazing to see how these plants grow in and fill these beds out so quickly. Now back here, this is the herb garden. And it really smells like oregano right now. There must be some in the sun somewhere around here. Smells like a pizza kitchen. And then just around the corner here, we'll take you into the container garden area, which is where you'll see some of those larger pots from the Linnaean house that have been making their way over here slowly. So here there's a lot of citrus trees that grow during the summer. They get to vacation over here for the summer holiday, if you will.
Here's some of that oregano.
Oh yeah, there's some of that oregano we were smelling. Well, you were mentioning how it's a good day to find shady spots, so why don't we walk back to the Stumpery? It's been a while since we've checked back there on any of our tours.
I actually really like this area for these trees that we have right here. These are rows of dawn redwoods, which are a deciduous conifer from Asia that was thought to be extinct, I believe, and rediscovered about 70 years ago maybe. And we've planted these here, and they're just great tall trees, and they have great structure on the branches. I mean, this,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to do it here, but I mean, if you encounter one of these out in on public lands, I mean, it just looks like a tree that's begging for someone to climb it. And again, just all the work that's going into getting everything ready to welcome people back. Oh, here's a cool lily here in the Stumpery.
Yeah.
Nathan, do you know what kind of lily that is?
That's a
Martagan lily?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this area is just looking so lush right now. A few pops of color here and there. And of course, it's called a stumpery because we have all these stumps here. And these are from Shaw Nature Reserve, actually.
And this is one of the largest stumperies in the U.S. I actually didn't know that until a few weeks ago when we heard that from the garden president, Dr. Peter Wise Jackson, mentioned that. We're slightly smaller in square footage than the largest one, but we have just about as many stumps in here. And they just create a great way to break up all these different kinds of plants. And this is something that we weren't seeing a few weeks ago when we were in here, but all these ferns have
Yeah.
really filled in the space.
Let's see if we can see that lily up a little closer. Right there.
This is actually sort of interesting because this is a hellebore that's still in bloom. Most of those were
February or March.
Yeah, February and March. Really, really pretty fern specimens in here. There's another lily over here.
Oh yeah. Wow, look at that. That's beautiful. And here's a good spot where you can kind of see more of the stumps and how those look in the landscape. Oops, not me. There we go. I think this is some sage here.
Yeah, there's sage and monarda, common name bee balm. And last week, it looks like they're done, but last week around this corner here, you can still see a little bit of it. I mean, here's again more coneflower that's coming in.
Wow, look at the size of this allium. Look, this is my hand. And I do not have little hands either, so that's a big one.
It's just a little bit, sort of hard to tell, but there's some yellow here. And it's yellow wild indigo, Baptisia. And this, I took a picture back here, it was a week ago. And I took a picture back here, and the yellows and the soft pinks from the monarda and the deep purples from the sage. And in just this week, I mean, it's you can see the changeover start to happen. The coneflowers are coming in. The yellow indigo is fading out. The alliums are fading out. And so this garden looked so different a week ago, and in 2 weeks when we open to the public, it's going to look different even more so. This was another spot too that I liked last week, more of this monarda. And then this is a really pretty yellow columbine.
Wow, yeah, look at the sort of tails on that. It's amazing. Looks like a jellyfish. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and end our tour today. But of course, we'll be back next week. And I did just want to mention we've had some people ask if we would continue doing these even after we open. And we do plan on doing that for those of you who are far away or have trouble visiting for whatever reason. We will be here. So stay tuned and get excited. We're so excited to welcome you guys back in just a couple weeks. Bye.